Yo, what's good, everybody? It's your boy JV, aka JVC2 Sleazy, aka Cartier J, aka The Dreaded One. And you're listening to The Dreaded One Podcast, the show where my opinions don't matter, but we're gonna act like we do. And we're live here from my bedroom, because isn't that where all podcasts with no budget start? Now, I feel like this has been a good little while since I posted something here. A lot of things have happened over time. So I've been doing a lot of things in my personal life and shit. So, yeah, I'm a little late with this one, but hey, man, later is always greater, right? I don't know. Don't acknowledge that bullshit. But like I said, we had a lot of things that happened over the last week, 2 weeks or so, and that kind of delayed me back and I kind of wanted to let some of this like simmer over the time, let my thoughts simmer over time. I don't like to really rush out content, so we had a lot of things that happened, like Super Bowl. I think that's what we should start with here. Now, I knew going into the Super Bowl, based off of the matchups going in, that this will be a very closely matched Super Bowl because we have the Chiefs on one side with a damn near legendary offense and the 49ers on the other side with a great defense. And the Chiefs defense and the 49ers offense kind of offset themselves. So it was really going to be who's gonna leave their stamp on the game more, the Chiefs offense or the 49ers defense. Now, this is kind of weird because the Chiefs were in the first ever NFL championship game. I think it was the Chiefs and the Packers. And now they're in the Super Bowl in the 100th season of the NFL. So I think that's kind of a good full circle thing that happened there. Looking at the coaches, we had Andy Reid in his second Super Bowl and Kyle Shanahan in his second Super Bowl, but first Super Bowl as a head coach. Now, we don't want to talk about that first Super Bowl because, goddamn, 28-3. That's all I got to say. 28-3. Now, going into this game, I had my own predictions, I had the Chiefs winning that game 31-27 as my prediction. And lo and behold, I at least got one half of that prediction right. Chiefs did win with a score of 31. But going into the game, I was just looking at the keys to win for each team. I knew for the Chiefs, the main thing they were going to have to worry about was the running game of the 49ers and that defensive line for the 49ers. So it was really going to be about how they handled the trenches because the 49ers definitely had the advantage on that front. Now, the 49ers' keys to win was, to me, it was all on Jimmy G because I feel like I said, they had very even rosters, but Patrick Mahomes is just such a higher talent, has such a higher upside than Jimmy Garoppolo, that I knew that if it had to go down to the quarterbacks and who was going to make the most plays, that the Chiefs were going to have the advantage on that front. So the 49ers, if they didn't have much trust in Jimmy Garoppolo, their key to win was going to have to be keeping the game low scoring. And they did that for the most part, but Kyle Shanahan just let the Shanahan Super Bowl special go on. And it's just crazy how that game played out. Now, let's get into the actual game. Now, the 49ers won the kickoff. No. The Chiefs actually won the kickoff and got the ball first. And they gave the ball back to the 49ers. And one thing I always notice about Kyle Shanahan is that he is very great on opening drives and in the first quarter because, most coaches have their first 15 plays scripted. And he is great at scripting plays. Great at having like a fire, first 15 plays laid out that really go well together. But usually once it goes later in the game and you have to start adjusting and start, you know what I'm saying, playing to the other team's tendencies and shit, that's when he usually starts to kind of lose it sometimes. And his talent, the talent on his team kind of has to make up for some of the coaching decisions he made, because he definitely made some coaching decisions in this game that definitely came back to bite him in the ass. Like on that first drive, actually, settling for that field goal, it might have seemed good at the time, but I said that when it happened, like when you drive up on a team that quickly and that well, and only to come out with 3 points, that's usually an L. You know what I'm saying? Like if you come down, if you drive down on the field, if you drive down quickly on a team, and they end up stopping you a field goal, if I'm on that defense, I'm feeling like that's a win for me. You know what I'm saying? So for you to come out with only 3 and not 7, like that was like a big thing that bit them in the ass later on in the game. Another thing that I really noticed in the first half, at least, was that Patrick Mahomes was really not on par. But I'll give that to the 49ers. Their fucking defensive line was on his ass. It was on his ass. I mean, the Chiefs left tackle Eric Fisher was a #1 overall pick, and I think that was the 2011 draft. And Nick Bosa was making him look like a fucking 7-rounder, like the whole game, man. Every time it just looked like 97 was right there on 15's ass. Another thing I noticed was in the first half, Jimmy G was looking really good. Like he was really outplaying Patrick Mahomes. I was calling Patrick Mahomes Patrick Maharton in that first half because he was definitely pulling some James Harden type shit. Like those 2 interceptions he threw in this game was like 2 of the just most uncharacteristic interceptions I ever seen from Mahomes. Especially that first one he threw to I forget his name, but he literally had to do nothing. Like he just threw it right into his numbers. Like I don't know what Patrick Mahomes was thinking on that play. But going into halftime, when the 49ers drove up the field and got that pass interference call, first of all, they could have let that slide. I don't think that little push affected I don't think that little push that George Kittle did at that time affected affected the defender affecting that pass. That defender wasn't getting to that pass regardless. Jimmy G threw that perfectly to where only George Kittle could get that. So, like I say, I don't think that was a good call on that play. And with the 49ers driving up on that field and running the clock out. Why the fuck was they running the clock? They had 1:49 left with 3 timeouts before halftime, and they're fucking running the clock out? Like, what the fuck are y'all doing? Like, and then the nerve for them to kneel at the end of the half. Like, do you not respect that the Chiefs that there's Patrick Mahomes on the other side of the field? Like, what the fuck? You have to get points where you can. Like, playing someone like the Chiefs offense, you have to take as many points as they're going to give you. Now, I know I said the 3 points in that first drive was a bit of an L for them, but come on, to come out with no points at the end of the first half, that definitely came to bite them at the end. And we'll talk about that later. But going into the second half, Patrick Mahomes was still a little shaky. That D-line was still getting to him very much. But I started to notice that the 49ers definitely were starting to hide Jimmy G throughout that half because and you can't do that against a team like the Chiefs. If you're gonna beat the Chiefs, your quarterback you're gonna need your quarterback to make plays. And he definitely didn't make that play later on in that game. Now, that 3rd and 15 that Patrick Mahomes threw to Tyreek Hill, that was the fucking turning point of that game. That was the David Tyree helmet catch. That was the Julian Edelman miracle catch against the Falcons. That was one of those plays where you knew if the Chiefs were going to win that game, that moment right there was the turning point. because they got points on the board finally. They got a rhythm with their offense, and they put the 49ers on their heels at that point. Um, um and now looking later on in that game as the fourth quarter approached and the Chiefs starting to put on points, they're starting to make a comeback, they're starting to rally. The 49ers had the chance, the perfect chance to put the nail in the coffin. Perfect play call by Shanahan and all. Emmanuel Sanders shoots through the double team, beats them both. All Jimmy G has to do is put it right in his hands, and he just fucking shanks it, man. He fucking throws it way over his head, and I'm like, that's the game right there. That's the motherfucking game right there. And that legitimately is what happened. Like, the Chiefs went on to score, what was that, 21 unanswered points? 21 unanswered points. Now, tell me another team that has come into the playoffs and had three straight comebacks, 10 plus point comebacks to win the Super Bowl. That's how you know you have a once in a lifetime type of players on your team. When you talk about Patrick Mahomes, when you talk about Tyreek Hill, when you talk about Travis Kelce, like, come on, like, I still look at that 2017 draft, and it still blows my mind that Patrick Mahomes was not the first quarterback drafted. Like, how the fuck do you look at Mitchell Trubisky and think that he's the best quarterback in that draft? Not even saying like that I looked at him as the prospect at that time and didn't think he wasn't a good quarterback, but come the fuck on. All it took me was one time to see Patrick Mahomes throw that ball 80 plus yards from his motherfucking knees to know that this man was going to be a superstar. Like, I said the same thing about Russell Wilson, and that's a player that he very much reminds me of. Now, his arm is like, probably like, he has another level type of arm over Russell Wilson, but he definitely has a similar skill set and a similar mindset as Russell Wilson, which was another player I didn't think fucking deserved to drop as far as he did. Third round for Russell Wilson. Come on, man. Wisconsin has not been the same since he left. Like, they've never had another player on Russell Wilson's level, and Wisconsin has never met the type of success that they had since he's left. So that shows you the type of player that he is. Now, we want to talk about the Shanahan Super Bowl special. Oh my God. How do you not continue to run the ball in the second half, man? How do you not learn from the Falcons game, man? Like, I just don't know, bro. I just don't know. I think Shanahan's are cursed in the Super Bowl. I don't know, bro, but I knew going into that game that was going to be a great game, though. Now I kind of want to talk about my top 5 favorite Super Bowls of all time. I think I can put this game slightly in there, but I want to think about some other ones before I put it in that top 5. Like, definitely what would be my number one and my number 2 is my Giants beating the Patriots in the Super Bowl twice. I mean, both of those games were just legendary games, in my opinion. Like, you're not going to shake me off of that opinion. Now, thinking about some other Super Bowls of this era, I really love the Seahawks Patriots Super Bowl, except for how the fuck it ended. Come on, run the ball. You have Marshawn Lynch on your fucking team, Pete Carroll. What are you doing? But nonetheless, that was a fucking awesome game, man. We always forget about the play from Javon Curse that led to that fucking interception that Russell Wilson threw. That was one of the greatest catches and the greatest plays of Super Bowl history that no one ever talks about anymore because it's not relevant because they fucking lost. But that's definitely one of my favorite games of this decade. What else? The Steelers and the Cardinals. That's a very fucking underrated game. That Santonio Holmes catch that sealed the game for the fucking Pittsburgh Steelers. That's definitely one of the greatest catches in Super Bowl history. That's one of the greatest toe taps in Super Bowl history. Like, that was an epic game, and I'm still sad that Larry Fitzgerald couldn't get his ring that year, but man, what a hell of a game. Ravens 49ers was a great second half. I don't know too much about that first half because the 49ers were getting washed in that game, but once Beyonce took the lights, like like it just turned the game into a whole nother level, I guess. What else? What was another really good Super Bowl? We kind of been slipping on Super Bowls these last few years. The Patriots and the Falcons was a really good Super Bowl, but that was only really good in the fourth quarter, really. Let's not even talk about last year's Super Bowl. Fuck the Patriots and fuck the Rams. Fuck Tom Brady. Fuck Jared Goff. Fuck Bill Belichick. And fuck Sean McVay for that fucking ass. Complete ass of a fucking game. And I don't want to hear, oh, it's defensive game. No, that was not a defensive game. That was just a shitty offensive game. The Patriots defense was great, but I wouldn't say that the Rams defense was all. I just think that was just a bad Super Bowl. Another debate I was having during this game was, who would you rather have on your team as a tight end? Travis Kelce or George Kittle? Now, see me being my biased fantasy owner self, I had George Kittle on my fucking squad, so I like George Kittle just a little bit better because I like his athletic upside that he has over Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce is a great tight end as far as like finding those open zones in the defense and always finding a way to get open even when he's not open. I mean, look at that PI call that they called on the defender that was on Travis Kelce in the end zone in that Super Bowl. Like, he wasn't open, but if Patrick Mahomes would have threw that ball into the back, high and into the back of the end zone, he would have been open because that's a 6'7" tight end over a cornerback. Like, that was just a bad throw by Patrick Mahomes. I don't think they should have penalized that defender for Patrick Mahomes just making a fucking shitty throw. But I feel like George Kittle is just such an athletic freak. Once he catches the ball, it's almost like he's a big ass running back with that bitch. Like, you don't want to tackle him when he's running full speed, man. That man runs with a fucking head full of steam, man. But yeah, that was pretty much the Super Bowl this year. I don't know how that stout ass defense lets the Chiefs score 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, but man, I don't know. And shout out to Terrell Suggs sneaking him another fucking Super Bowl ring. I see you. I didn't even know you was on that team, but I see you. Shout out to Tyrann Mathieu, LSU. I think the Chiefs had like 4 LSU players that won. I know Mo Claiborne was on that squad too, but I forgot the other 2 players. I forgot the other fucking 2 players, but I'm sorry if I can't fucking think of their names, but shout out to fucking LSU, man. Fucking representing for us, bro. Now, another thing I wanted to talk about was the halftime show. Now, I personally love the shit. I don't really listen to too much of Jennifer Lopez and Shakira's music, but I always love watching them perform because they are fucking dynamite fucking performers. Look at J-Lo. J-Lo is 50 fucking years old. What the fuck is y'all bitches' excuse? What the fuck is y'all bitches' excuse? Because Jennifer Lopez still looks the same way she did at the beginning of the fucking 2000s that she does now. That is a fucking testament. That is just a fucking testament to just, I don't know, man. She's a rare breed, bro. And Shakira, y'all like to talk about her hips don't lie because she ain't got no ass, but hey, man, I take a ride on Shakira any fucking day. I don't know what y'all talking about. But the thing I really noticed about the performance is, man, Shakira is a fucking true artist, man. She fucking got on that stage. She danced her ass off. She fucking got on the guitar. She killed it on the drums. Like, there's nothing this motherfucker cannot do. Like, Like I was just fucking floored by the fucking just the talent that she has and the dancing and everything. You know, I feel like this is a hot take, but I was thoroughly more entertained by this halftime show than the fucking bullshit ass Beyonce light stealing ass performance that she did in the fucking Superdome. But then again, that was that was probably like a year before Beyonce actually started making music that I fucking liked. You know what I'm saying? That was like the year before the Beyonce self-titled album, when she started to get on her more artistic shit and doing the films with the albums, and then she went in Lemonade, and you know what I'm saying, that's when she really started to show her true artistry. I mean, it started with the album 4 that dropped I think a year before that performance, and I really liked that album because that album was basically my fucking senior year. I could not escape that album, but that album had hella jams like 1+1, Love on Top, Countdown, fucking what else? Run the World Girls, even though that one fucking soured on me because I had to listen to that damn song every fucking day in drama class because that was the song they were dancing to for our academic pep rally. But I digress. I still love the beat to that song though. But yeah, that album just has a certain place in my heart because it brings me back to a time in my life. You know what I'm saying? Party, another fucking song. I like Andre 3000 version better than J. Cole. Don't at me. But yeah, I would definitely put this year's halftime show over that that overrated ass bullshit. But it ain't going over the second time when she came to the halftime show when her and fucking Coldplay and Bruno Mars all came together. That shit was lit as fuck. That's definitely in my top 5 Super Bowl performances. Um, who else? I really liked uh, um my favorite one outside of Prince, which is Prince's automatic number one. You can't beat singing Purple Rain in the fucking real rain. There's no one that's beating that. No one is beating that. But the close second to me is fucking Lady Gaga's Super Bowl halftime performance. I fucking adore Lady Gaga. I didn't understand her back in the time. I thought all that shit was weird as fuck. But the songs stand the test of time. And me just watching that performance and her go through all her fucking greatest hits and dancing and the way she incorporated like the fucking drones in the back to make the USA flag and the fucking her catching the ball and jumping into the abyss at the end, like, man, that was just a fucking spectacular fucking halftime performance. But you ain't going over Prince, baby. Oh yeah, and fuck that shit JT tried to do last year with the whole fucking hologram with Prince. Get the fuck out of here. You fucking just unrepentant piece of shit. You know you and Prince was not fucking cool before he died. You know that shit, and you still want to fucking use him for your fucking bullshit ass performance. Get the fuck out of here. Then you want to try to use him as a fucking hologram when you know this man had quotes saying he never wanted to be used as a fucking hologram after his death because he knew that shit he said that shit was the devil, and you still did that shit. You such a fucking unrepentant piece of shit. And I like your fucking music, but it just shit like that just shows me you don't fucking care. Like, and then the fact that you didn't even bring out Janet Jackson that fucking year when you could have built so many bridges back that you burnt in like the black community, and just like, cause that shitty thing that you did with her on that stage, that shit only affected her fucking career, not yours. Like, your fucking career only skyrocketed while hers had to fucking plummet because you the one who ripped her goddamn shirt off. I know it was something that was planned between the whole thing, but like, you basically shitted on her after that, dude. And I just can't rock with that shit, dog. I can't rock. Fuck that Super Bowl halftime show. But that's mainly the main ones I had in mind for this shit. Oh yeah, Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson came out on. He pulled the fucking Rey Mysterio before Rey Mysterio ever even was a thought. He fucking jumped up on that stage coming from under and fucking just stood there like the fucking superstar that man was. For 45, for like damn near a minute. and just let the fucking crowd just fucking shower him with love. That's when you know you're a superstar. He didn't even have to perform after that. That was the moment. But do we have to talk about commercials? Cause I don't fucking watch commercials. I never cared about Super Bowl commercials. Fuck Super Bowl commercials. Now on from the Super Bowl, I want to talk about something that definitely affected me a little bit throughout these past couple of weeks, and that's Eli Manning retiring. Now, for those of you who don't know, I'm a Giants fan. Been a Giants fan since, I want to say like 04, 05, basically since Eli Manning was there. Eli Manning is the only quarterback I know, you know what I'm saying, until Daniel Jones came around. So seeing him retire was such a bittersweet thing, because I know that this wasn't technically supposed to be the end of the road for him, because I know in his mind he still thought he could play, but man, these last couple of years have been rough, bro. Have been rough. And keep in mind that the GMs and the coaches did not fucking help him at all through these last couple of years. But you definitely were on a decline, and it's sad to see you go like this, but I mean, that I just feel like that was the best way to go for the future of the team. Now, as far as just like thinking of just his career as a total, like, man is a two-time Super Bowl winner, two-time beating the GOAT Tom Brady. This man he was basically the new NFL Iron Man once Brett Favre and Peyton Manning retired, because he definitely was someone that you could count on every season. Not gonna get hurt, not gonna get suspended, not gonna, you know what I'm saying? He's going to be there every game. And fuck Bob McAdoo for fucking ruining his record goddamn streak. You know what I'm saying? I think it was at like 209 games or some shit like that. And you did that shit all to fucking start Geno Smith, my nigga. Geno motherfucking Smith. Now I can see if we had a young quarterback, like, now if we had Daniel Jones at this time and they did that shit, cool. We're working on the future. But you fucking benched Eli Manning for Geno fucking Smith. Geno Smith, the Black Mark Sanchez. Come on, man. Get all the way the fuck out of here. I'm glad Bob McAdoo is out of here with his fucking ill-fitting ass suits and perv mustache ass looking ass nigga. Like, this man could have at least ended his career with a 232 game winning game straight. A 232 game streak. But no, you want to end this shit for fucking Geno Smith. Geno fucking Smith. Just let that shit sink in. Geno motherfucking Smith. Now, I want to talk about some of my favorite moments of me watching Eli Manning play. Like, I think of like the Super Bowl games are like obvious. Like, he definitely came to play against the GOAT Tom Brady each time, and fucking, I mean, in my eyes, he outplayed him both times. Outplayed him. Like, those two games were probably his two best games, and that's the thing I did like most about Eli. When he made it to the playoffs, he made the most out of it every time he was in there. Like, I feel like he was the type of player when his back was against the walls when he was best. But when, like, it was expected for him to win, a lot of times that's when he would fuck up. You know what I'm saying? But I think about Super Bowl 42, and not even just the David Tyree play, but I mean, that's still one of the greatest plays of all time in Super Bowl, because everyone loves to talk about how lucky the catch was, but you got to think about, this man was basically wrapped up by like 3 different New England defenders, and he made it out of that shit some kind of fucking way, looking like Russell Wilson or something, scrambling out that fucking shit. And he made that fucking play, and fucking history just wrote itself after that moment. The fucking Plaxico Burress catch after that, like, man, I'll never forget it. And Tyreek, you still owe me $10 for that fucking game. We bet $10 if the fucking Patriots was gonna be undefeated, and I told you they were gonna lose, and they fucking lost. I want my $10, bitch. Now, I think about Super Bowl 46, and everyone loves to talk about how if Wes Welker would have caught that ball, Eli Manning would have never got that second ring. But you gotta think about that fucking throw to Mario Manningham. That is one of the greatest throws in Super Bowl hit. Dog, that he had to put that bitch so perfectly on the money because he had somebody behind him and also somebody a safety coming into the court. So he literally had to throw that bitch right there, pinpoint on the money for that play to even be fucking salvageable, you know what I'm saying? And he made that fucking play. And I always respected that fucking play because I don't think Tom Brady even never made a fucking throw that precise in the fucking Super Bowl. Another game I like to think of is that NFC Championship game against the 49ers that same year that they won the Super Bowl. And that game was fucking crazy because the main thing I remember throughout that game was just Eli getting fucking manhandled. I mean, god damn, if he wasn't getting sacked, he was getting hit at like after he threw the ball almost every third play or some shit. And he just kept getting up, kept getting up, kept getting up, kept making plays. And that was the day that I truly got the full respect of Eli Manning, and nobody couldn't tell me shit about him at that time because they were playing in below temperature weather. So 12 quarterback hits is like 24 quarterback hits because when you get hit in that cold, man, that's a double hit, my nigga. Like, that's really a double hit because you're getting hit by the man and you're getting hit by the fucking cold. So just the fact that he kept getting up in that game and they came out to win that fucking game, I always respected him for that shit. There's this one picture that always stuck in my mind was after one of those fucking hits he took, he got back up and his fucking shoulder pads was all hanging off his shoulder. He got grass all in his fucking helmet. And he just looking like, next play. I gotta make the next play. So I always loved his fucking performance in that game. And the game that fucking broke my heart, that goddamn shootout against the fucking Saints, man. Man, that was probably his greatest statistical game, and we fucking lost. 49-52, man. We just couldn't stop them on that last fucking play, man. Just couldn't stop them. But I think Eli had 6 touchdowns in that game or 5. I think 5 touchdowns. I think Drew had 6. Drew had 6 and Eli had 5, and that's definitely one of the greatest games I ever watched him play. Another thing I always connected to him with Eli is because he's little bro, and I'm the youngest brother out of all my brothers, so I always respected how he broke out of his brother's shadow, and he won 2 rings before Peyton ever won 2 rings. And that second ring that Peyton got was so fucking flimsy, like I barely fucking count that for him. So, man, just shout out to Eli, man. Like, you gave me a lot of ups and downs throughout your career, but one thing I can always say is that I can always count on you to be a professional and a real, you know what I'm saying, just top of the line, starting like a true franchise quarterback, you know what I'm saying? Even though you did have your season where you threw fucking 27 interceptions and shit, but you were a constant reminder of, you know what I'm saying, just fucking durability, toughness, you know what I'm saying? Just standing there in the pocket and taking as many hits as you can. Now, once you got later on in your career, I think there was a game that out of that 2016 or 2017 season against the Redskins, where Chris Baker came and fucking floored your ass right in the fucking gut. It was like a spear from Goldberg that you took. After that moment, I realized you got real punch drunk in the fucking in the pocket. You got real tentative anytime you heard footsteps. And I don't blame you, but I just seen that the end was near and it was time to move on. And I just want to say, man, thank you for the fucking memories and thank you for the years you put into this game. You made me proud to be a Giants fan for the longest, man, and I appreciate that shit. Now, another thing to think of is he a Hall of Famer? If you ask me, I think beating Tom Brady twice in the Super Bowl alone makes you a Hall of Famer. Now, looking at just his pure stats throughout his career, you can kind of start to be like, he's kind of like a borderline Hall of Famer. Like once you look at that, but once you add in the postseason shit, I think that kind of puts him over the top. Now, I don't think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. I think maybe he should wait a few years, but I think he definitely deserves a spot in. Now, I'd like to transition into what really made me like delay doing this episode, and that's the passing of Kobe Bryant, man. What a fucking just bombshell to drop on someone on a Sunday morning. Like, man, bruh. Fucking helicopter crash, man. I just think about that shit all the time. I look at pictures of him and his daughter, and it just makes me so fucking sad because it's not that they died, it's the way they died, man. It's just such a tragic thing to think about, being on a falling helicopter with your daughter, and all you can do is just look at her and hug her, knowing that you're going to fucking die. You're basically living in your own coffin and being in a helicopter. And man, it's just such a fucking crazy thing, man, to just wake up to that news. Because I'm going to tell you right now, growing up, watching this man, I fucking hated Kobe. I hated Kobe to the degree growing up. Because, first of all, he's the reason why Allen Iverson doesn't have a fucking ring. That 0-1 finals series, man, they just fucking washed my guy after that game one, bro. So I always held a grudge to him because of that. I'm a LeBron fan, so of course when the LeBron Kobe debates came, I had to shit on Kobe every chance I got. So this is coming from me realizing, like, all those years of just hating on him. It wasn't really hate. It was more just out of it was a weird respect thing, because I knew he was a great player. I knew he was one of the greatest, but I just I hated him because he was a threat to my other favorite players. Because one thing I know about love and hate is that they really are the same emotion, just expressed in opposite ways. Like, the only reason you hate shit is because either it's affecting something you love, it's threatening something you love, or it was something that you loved before. You know what I'm saying? But something happened along the way to make you hate it. You know what I'm saying? Like, the more and more I just think about it, he was kind of like the Tom Brady of basketball for me, because I hated Tom Brady all these years growing up, but the more and more I see that his career is like that, each year could be his last year, the more and more I start to appreciate, you know what I'm saying, just his style of play, and just him as you know what I'm saying, just him as ambassador for the sport, you know what I'm saying. But another thing that I like to compare him to is that he was also kind of like the Derek Jeter of basketball too, because he played all 20 years of his career was with one team. He never turned on even though he tried to turn on the Lakers. He definitely tried to get traded a couple times. We remember those Smush Parker years, my nigga. We remember those Smush Parker years. Those Smush Parker Kwame Brown years, my nigga. But man, he was just a constant reminder of hard work, and you know what I'm saying, and just consistency, you know. And it was a real just love-hate relationship I had with him growing up. Now, another thing I like to talk about with him is we really underrate his 81-point game, man. Like, to me, his 81-point game is way more impressive than Wilt Chamberlain's 100-point game. And here's why. They needed every single one of those 81 points he made in that game, because that game was still a game going into. They were down going like in the fourth quarter, so they needed every last one of those points. Will Chamberlain, they beat this team by like 60 plus points. Like, they really were just feeding him the ball to fucking stat stuff. You know what I'm saying? Plus, the game was much faster at that time too. He had way more possessions, so it was much easier to score at a higher volume in those days. Plus, he was playing in a league where there wasn't too much other black athletic people to compete against him at the time too. So come on, man, get the fuck out of here. 81 points over those 100 points. Another thing I think about when I think about Kobe is he played basketball. He had more years of playing basketball than actual years of just life. Like, because the man been playing basketball since he was, what, 17, 16? He played 20 years of basketball. So, I mean, he only had, like, 15 years where basketball wasn't a thing. You know what I'm saying? So, he really just, like, that's when you know someone really loves the sport. You know what I'm saying? Another thing that secures his legend. Who gives themselves a nickname and it actually sticks? Usually a nickname is something that's given to you, but he gave himself the Black Mamba and that shit stuck. That's one thing that I always thought about with him. Like, no one else gives themselves nicknames, and people let that shit slide, you know? So that's another weird thing I also thought about. Another thing is, like, how Kobe went his whole career without winning an MVP. Like, what the fuck? Like, that year where he's averaged 35 points that year, I think he should have got MVP that year. Now, his team didn't have the best record, but I also feel like record shouldn't matter as much with MVP, because I feel like some players, like, sometimes I feel like MVP shouldn't be like the best player on the best team. MVP should be the player. If you take him off that team, the team is the team that drops off the most from that player being taken off the team. And those years, those fucking Smush Parker and Kwame Brown years, if you took Kobe off of those Lakers, they are the fucking Washington goddamn Generals, or whatever the fuck the team that the Harlem Globetrotters play. Like, that Lakers team would have been absolute ass water without Kobe. And Nash deserved one of those MVPs, but not both of them. But I digress. And he was also the player that was really the closest that we ever got to seeing another Michael Jordan on the court. Like, he literally just, like, took all of his moves. Well, not took all of his moves, but studied all of his moves and made them his own. And that's another thing I can respect about him. You know what I'm saying? Is he the greatest Laker of all time? That's a question I'd like to propose to you guys. But I don't know, man. It's really tough to choose between him and Magic. But I think I'll put the slight edge over Kobe because he played for them longer. And I think he meant just a little bit more to the Lakers in the time that he was in than Magic did. I don't know. Because Magic also had Kareem. He also had James Worthy. He also had, you know what I'm saying? He also had other legendary players on that squad too. And he was the glue that kept all that shit together. But he wasn't the Lakers, you know what I'm saying? Kobe was the Lakers when he was on that squad. And I think the most fitting way for him to go out was that 60-point game. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was the most fitting way for him to end his career. And, man, I think that's all we got for this episode. This one is a little shorter than I thought it was going to be, but I just been having a lot of things on my mind, a lot of shit that I kind of been planning for future episodes and future things that I'm planning on doing. So I want y'all to keep your eyes out for that if y'all paying attention and shit. But with the NFL season over, and the XFL season start, I definitely want to put more content, like going into mock drafts and my own NFL awards that I would like to give out and shit. So y'all can tune in for that for the next episodes. But I think that's where I'm gonna cap it here today, guys. Like, I don't really want to get too emotional talking about Kobe, so I think yeah, we're gonna cap it here. So want to let y'all know you're loved and you're accepted and you're beautiful because too many people go too long without hearing that shit. So see y'all next time.